In this video, we're going to show you how to replace a lower ball joint on your Honda Accord. Using a 19mm socket, remove the 5 lug nuts. Remove the wheel. Using a 36mm socket, remove the axle nut. Make sure your axle can move freely in the hub. If it cannot, you can use a soft face mallet or an air hammer. And make sure it's loose. Using a 17mm socket, loosen the caliper bracket bolts. And remove them. We're going to remove the caliper assembly off of the rotor, and I'm going to use a hook to hook it to the strut so there is no tension on the brake hose. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, remove the rotor screws. And remove the rotor. Remove the 12mm bolt for the brake line bracket. Remove the ABS wire from the bracket. And there's one more up top. And there will be one more on this left side. There's a little plastic stay. Pinch on the top and bottom and pull it out of the bracket. The reason we're removing the ABS wire out of all of these brackets because we are going to be unable to remove it from the hub. If you're able to remove it from the hub, it'll be one 10mm bolt, and then you'll wiggle the sensor out and pull it out of the knuckle. Remove the cotter pin out of the lower ball joint. Using a 19mm socket, remove the lower ball joint nut. Using a ball joint separator tool, we're going to separate ball joint from the lower control arm. Pull the knuckle forward and remove the axle. Using a flat blade screwdriver and a hammer, we're going to remove the inner ring. Keep going around and making an edge around the ring. And then put your screwdriver in and twist it and pop the ring out. Using a ball joint removal press, we're going to remove the ball joint out of the knuckle. Once you have the ball joint mostly pressed out, you can remove your tool. If your tool supports it, you can switch to a larger, deeper cup and keep pressing it all the way out. Or, once you have it at this point, you can take a hammer and hit the bottom and pop the ball joint out. Using a wire brush, go ahead and clean the inside of where the ball joint sits. Clean it of any corrosion or rust, but we don't want to take any material off. Install the new ball joint into the knuckle. And we'll use our press. Set it up. Press the ball joint into the knuckle. Using a pair of snap ring pliers, we're going to install our snap ring onto the ball joint. Just like that. Remove the nut off the bottom of the ball joint. If while removing this ring you damaged it or deformed it, I would recommend replacing it. Install it into the knuckle. I'm going to go around and give it a light few taps. Pull the knuckle forward and install the axle. Make sure it's lined up with the splines. Using a pry bar, we're going to pry down on the lower control arm. Install the nut onto the bottom of the ball joint. Snug the nut down. Torque the nut anywhere between 44 and 51 foot-pounds. And then up to an additional 60 degrees or until you can fit a cotter pin through the hole and a slot in the castle nut. Install the cotter pin and bend it around. You can cut this tab off or bend it. Install the axle nut. Using a pry bar to hold the hub, we're going to torque the axle nut to 242 foot-pounds. Using a hammer and a punch, we're going to stake the axle nut. Install the rotor. Install the rotor screws. Install the caliper assembly. Install the caliper bracket bolts. Snug them down. Torque the bracket bolts to 80 foot-pounds. Install the brake hose bracket and the bolt. Install the ABS wire back into its brackets. Install the wheel. Get the 5 lug nuts started. Snug them down. Torque the lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds in a star pattern. You're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.